group? I mean, it seems like every year we're looking at double-digit guys working out in front of all the teams. What do you think about the guys that are here today?
They've been a part of a really good run. I think most of them have been part of the 46 of the last 48 games. They've come out on top, and there's a reason why we've won those football games. You have good football players, and that usually equates to that. All these guys played a role in those games, and they're tremendous young men, tremendous people. They've worked really long, a lot of them 22, 23 years towards this day and this goal, and this is a small step in that direction. You know, most of these guys performed at the combine, so I feel like today's a little anticlimactic in terms of they've already worked out, they've already done their thing. Very few of them are being seen for the first time, but they represent our program the right way. We hope to have a great draft class, and these guys are part of it.
You know a lot of these NFL coaches and GMs. What are some of the questions that they ask you when they're assessing the players?
The same general ones we get year to year. You know, what's their care factor for football? How important is football to them? Will financial opportunities change them? Are they dependable? Are they good people? And I think more and more the NFL's turned into getting guys that care about football and put team over self, and we try to promote those same things here.
How special is this group of DBs, and how do you think they can contribute at the next level?
Well, it'll depend on the situation they get put in. I think they're all very versatile. They can all play safety. They can all play star. They can all probably play corner. At least a couple of those guys have done that in their careers. So it's a great group, but I feel like we say that every year. I mean, we're going to have another group next year of defensive backs that have an opportunity. So we got to keep replacing them. That's the hard thing, and it makes it a lot tougher when there's two third-year juniors coming out. It's much tougher to replace.
What kind of feedback do you get from NFL GMs and coaches when you have the opportunity to meet with them here about how Georgia prepares guys for the league?
They're very appreciative for the way that we push our players and the way we practice, and they really like the transparency with which they come to workouts, and not a lot of fluff here. They come in, they get their work done. We get done with our pro day probably faster than anybody in the country, and we have more players working out than anybody in the country. But we're very efficient and organized, and I think that's a business, which they are. They appreciate that.
It's been like watching Lad McConkey, just his draft stock rise this offseason. Obviously, you're not surprised. It wasn't say just about that he's stuck with the program throughout all the years here.
Just it started from the time that we offered him to now. He's ascended and aspired to be great, and nobody works harder than Lad McConkey, and I think nobody on our team would say there's a better teammate than Lad McConkey. I don't know that he's ever said a negative word about anybody. He's just such a good kid. He's such a hard person to find, and he's a great football player on top of that.
You talked about some of those intangibles with Lad, but what makes him different as a football player?
In and out of breaks. I mean, his ability to separate is probably one of his key things. And in NFL, there's less touching. You're able to run routes, and that's going to be advantageous for Lad. He can come in and out of breaks, and I think when they watch him on third down, he's pretty elite on third down at getting open, and that keeps the chains moving.
What do you tell NFL teams about what they might be getting in Amarius Mims, given only 8 career starts?
Yeah, I think the 8 career starts is a mistake. I mean, what does that matter if you block Travon Walker, Nolan Smith, Robert Beal, your whole career? And what does the 8 starts matter? Would you rather have somebody that started 27 games and played against nobody, or somebody that played against first-round draft picks every day in practice? I know which one I'm picking. So he started last year to me. You know, the year before last, he started almost every game in terms of he was in the second or third series. So, you know, I think when you look over the history, there's some really successful linemen that have been 3 and out that didn't start in that many games. But he's uber talented. He works really hard. He's very intelligent, and he's going to play a long time in the NFL.
Dipping back to Lad, there were other SEC coaches that skipped meetings with him, that didn't go to games. You were there. What did you see back when he was 165 pounds with no other major offers?
A chip on the shoulder, a young man that wanted to prove everybody wrong, and you know, we bet on him to be a good player, and he did, and he was very productive, and we're fortunate to have kids like that in our state that get overlooked and work really hard, and luckily we have enough staff people here that we were able to find him.
What did Kamari mean to your defense, and how do you think his skill set will translate to the next level?
He'll be a tremendous player no matter where they play him. He can play the nickel slot. He can play safety. He can play corner. He's a ball hawk. He's super competitive. You know, some people have a knack for finishing and getting the ball out. That's one thing that he has a really good knack for finishing on the ball and getting the ball out. And corners are hard to find. It's a throw-first league, so you got to find people that can cover man-to-man, and he has the ability to do that.
Obviously, Brock doesn't need to show he's got enough film, obviously, his skill. But what do you say to teams when they ask you about him and just his competition skill?
Watch the tape. I mean, the tape speaks for itself. Nobody really asks about Brock because they've already seen it. They've been to our practices. They know what he can do. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of questions about Brock Bowers' toughness or ability.
What can Zion Lowe kind of bring to a team?
Toughness, culture builder, extreme effort. He's probably on every one of our tapes we show the first day of practice of what we call getting out of the stack. You know, he covers down at a high level. He plays on field goal PAT. He played in punt protection, so he can do a lot of things for a team.
Coach, with a guy like William Moe, what did he mean to this team over the past 4 years, and what makes him an NFL caliber long snapper?
Yeah, did you ever call his name for a bad snap? That's his job, and he did it. So he did exactly what he was supposed to do. The only time you know who the snapper is or the holder is when they mess up. And he's a tremendous athlete. I think he benched 225 17 times a day, so he's a lot stronger than our other players, and he did a great job.
When did you know Carson wasn't going to throw today? And just what did you think of Gunner out there with the guys?
I didn't really pay attention to who was throwing. I didn't even know whether it's Gunner or Carson. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we've had GAs throw before, so I'm glad that our receivers had somebody with them to throw. When you don't have a quarterback coming out, sometimes that makes it tough, but happy for those guys to get an opportunity.
Tyke Smith is a guy that kind of developed in your program out of West Virginia. You talk about his rise, and I guess he popped a 4.4 number at the combine. Not a surprise to you?
Yeah, I'm happy for Tyke. He's worked really hard. He was, he had a significant injury, and when you have a significant injury, sometimes it takes 2 years to come back from that. And he was a guy that the first year back, he wasn't as ready to play as maybe he was this year, and he had an outstanding year this year. He expected to. He ran well, and he's a fierce competitor. He's going to make a good player for somebody.
Talk about Marcus physicality when it translates to the NFL.
Yeah, Marcus Rosemy is one of the toughest kids I've been around. Played through injury, had a horrific injury as a freshman, bounced back from that. A total culture team player, believes in the team first, never complained once about not getting the ball, dominant on special teams, and I think that stuck out to a lot of these coaches here.
What have you seen from Brock and just how he continues to recover coming back from surgery?
Brock Bowers? Yeah, I think this is more about a soft tissue injury, not about the surgery. I mean, he's over and done from the surgery. He's fine. This is about his hamstring that he's tweaked. So I'm excited to see him work out when he does.
Speaking of that, I mean, Brock and Mims are doing the April private workout. What is it that they, I guess, want to show to be able to do that then versus now?
Well, I think they want to be healthy. And so the number one thing is being 100% when you work out. And if they were 100%, they would probably do it today. This is not an extension of the season. This is throughout their training this has come up.
Kirby, what is it like for you on a day like today? I mean, I don't know if this is farewell forever, but these guys in the building together, kind of a process that started 4 or 5 years ago, 6 probably with recruiting.
Yeah, it's the next step. So I concern myself mostly with our team today, and we've got film study, we've got walkthroughs. I'm a lot more worried about that than I am the pro day. That's beyond my control.
Coach, I'm Jamal Waldbauer. This was a guy with your team for a long time. What did he do with this team, and what did he bring for this football team?
He's a torchbearer. I mean, he carries the torch. He carries the water. He's a lunch pail guy. He worked every day of his career. I can't thank him enough for how hard he worked, and he earned this opportunity by what he did. So today's a special day for him. He gets to go out and showcase what he learned while he was here.
You mentioned being concerned about your team in film study. How was the first day of spring practice yesterday?
Yeah, we've got a long way to go. So we'll get to work on that today, and it's just step by step, day by day. Don't put one foot too far ahead of the other.
Kirby, do you take it for granted that you guys will have multiple first-round picks every year now that you've done it a couple times in a row? And, it seems like obviously this is another year like that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to always be the case. I think, with the portal, you can bring in a first rounder. So there's years you might not have them that you can bring them in. But that's not going to go forever. It's been a good run, and we'll continue to recruit well and develop well. And some year you may have 3 or 4 seconds and not a first. And we've had some first and not second and thirds. It's just about getting good players and getting them to buy in for each other. I don't get caught up in what round they're in. I want them to go as high as they possibly can.
The NFL draft success you guys have had make it easier to sort of preach and teach positional versatility, the ability to do different things, given some guys might be stubborn and say, I just want to be this one position?
I don't know that I understand the question.
The ability to play multiple things has clearly helped guys at the next level. Does that sell itself to guys who might just say, I just want to be a cornerback, I just want to be an edge rusher?
Yeah, I've never had anybody say that. I mean, that would be foolish to say I just want to be one thing when I can be multiple things. So we sell that because it's the right thing to do for our team, not because it's the right thing to do for the NFL.
Got time for one more question?
The momentum that you have generating all these picks in today's era, we hear so much about today's recruit and what they're looking for. How much easier does it make that for you to recruit when you can sell guys practicing against first-round guys every week and developing into what we're seeing here today?
It's a great sell for the kids that'll listen to it, because there's a lot of them that want to ask about NIL. They don't want to ask about what your NFL players have done. But I think it's much more important how you develop players than how much NIL you give. Thanks.
Thank you.